being much closer to the start of this journey than we both are, what would you tell somebody like that, somebody who's looking and thinking about, maybe I want to do programming for a living. Where do I start?
Oh boy, that's a very good question. Well, I can talk about how I started. I Googled how to learn programming, and one of the first links to pop up was Codecademy, and they have a free tier. So I just made an account that day and just started playing around with that. I think it also kind of depends on the type of person. Like I need that structure. So it was really helpful to have something like App Academy's curriculum laid out for me.
Hmm.
The way that they do their curriculum is they have exercises that you can go through, videos that explain things, and then also documents that they might link out to for you to read.
Hmm.
So something like that, or even just Googling curriculum, software engineering curriculum, whatever they have out there. What I tend to do a lot, and I think this maybe extended my study time, is I will look for just different ways. What it's called, tutorial hell. That's what
Oh
it's
yeah.
called. So I kind of did that thing where it's like I'll read books, I will go through videos, and I will do this and that, but I won't actually build something. Uh, so one of the things that I want to tell people is make sure you're building something, because I think that's where most of the learnings that you've learned you can apply to and be able to learn better that way. And I think the two main projects that I did work on, I grew a lot doing them, but I have this problem with like not being able to think of an idea that I'm passionate about. Like it's hard for me to build something unless I really want to.
Right. Well, and I think that's a good point too, is if you're going to work on a funsies learning project, it should also be something that you want to do, not just something that's going to be good for learning this particular thing. It's something I want to do, then I'll learn what I need to do it.
Right.
Yeah. So in your learning process, and your beginner's journey here, how important was it to kind of get hooked into these Ruby communities like Twitter and the Rails Conf and stuff like that?
Yeah, in the very beginning, like my first year, I didn't know where to go. Honestly, if you could imagine, I live under a rock. I couldn't network. So a lot of it was just on my own. And then maybe those two friends that I had mentioned in earlier. After that first year, the reason why I know about learning in communities is Stanford had a program called Code in Place. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And what it was is they took their intro to computer science class and posted like, or I guess released the first 5 weeks of it. So half of the actual course. And it was this, I would say, a big effort because they also had these section leaders. It was real leaders that they interviewed uh, to become kind of like a mentor for you. And then every week, about 10 of the students would meet with one section leader. And I always forget the number, but it's a pretty high number. I want to say there were like 10,000 or so students, which meant there was like 900 or something section leaders.
Wow.
And yeah, we would meet every week. There would be a problem for you to solve, and the section leader helps you, like, can kind of guide you to solving the problem. And yeah, it was a great first 5 weeks. And at the end of those 5 weeks, I really got into building a game for my kids to play. So
Oh,
I built
fun.
Tetris. And the reason why I even thought of it was because there was a lecture where there was like a square moving across a screen, and I was like, oh, that kind of like if I rotate it, it looks like like a square falling down.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build Tetris for my kids because I thought if I programmed it, I could only bring down like the L and the O blocks so that it's easier for them to start learning
Ah,
how to play it.
that's smart.
And yeah, I think that was why I was so passionate about that game, is because it was something for my kids. And I forget what the original question was, but
Looking into the communities. How important
oh
was
yeah,
that
the
to you?
communities. Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Well, out of curiosity, was it that you were interested in finding these communities, but you didn't know where to go, or were you not even thinking about looking for communities at that point when you were first
I
starting?
actually think I tried. I started looking at Meetup,
Okay.
and there wasn't really much action going on, maybe where I was, or I'm not sure. Well, I mean, also at the same time, COVID was a
Oh yeah,
thing.
that'll
Yeah,
stop a
I
lot of
mean,
that
stuff.
old
it's
chestnut.
still so that's why it was called Code in Place, because everybody was sheltered. And anyway, just to finish that thing, after the course was over, a lot of the students were like, but we really want to see the rest of the lectures. They Stanford did post the rest of the lectures online, but there wasn't any more videos that we can look at or section leaders. And so me and a few other people created this community. It was just a Discord server, and we basically said, like, we're going to host study sessions every week, and we're going to try to finish the course. And we ended up finishing the course. So that's when I developed this love for kind of the community.
Cool.
As far as like the Ruby community, I did not discover it until after I finished my last boot camp. It was a 1-month boot camp led by John Corpezi. It is called All Aboard Boot Camp. And ever since then, oh yeah, it's because John was on Twitter. And so that's when I started looking at Twitter more. I had an account, but I never looked at it. And so that was when I sort of started discovering the Ruby community.
Cool.
Which, by the way, is very, very important to me, and the reason why I will continue to be in the Ruby community.
Yeah, I've had very, very good experiences in the community. Um, every person I've met there has been friendly and helpful and down to earth and chill and fun to be around. It's just every person I meet is somebody I want to be around. You know, and it's just really nice to have that kind of tribalism. I guess a huge tribe, but still, um, that kind of speak their own language, and it's just fun to be a part of that. And um, so another thing that I'm often interested in for newer programmers is what are your thoughts about pair programming?
Yeah, if you don't know me, I love pair programming, and I talk about this with Andrew. I don't know if it's because I have ADHD, that I like pair programming, because I feel like they kind of help keep me on my toes, or it's just a lot easier to pair with somebody and ask them a couple of quick questions than to go find it in the docs, which can take me forever if I don't know where it is. I also think that it's really important because I feel like programming is not really a solo thing. I think it's very collaborative, and being able to work with another person is really important. So, yeah, I do a lot of pair programming in my job. And also, I've picked up a few people on Twitter that will just randomly offer to pair with me. And I was like, yes, of course, definitely. I try to pay it forward as well and try to pair with other people if they want to.
So, would you say that pair programming is like an important part of junior developer learning process?
Yeah, and this is kind of part of the reason why Ruby for All was created, because I feel like there's this gap between once you're done. I mean, I don't know if you're ever really done or ready for your first role, but once you're kind of, there's this in between, right? Like once you finish your boot camp, for example, and then getting your first job, there's this gap of something is missing. I don't know what needs to go there, but there definitely is something missing. I felt like I needed more mentorship before I can get to my first job. And so I think pair programming helps kind of build those skills that will be helpful for even interviewing or
So,
trying to do your job.
so that's interesting. What did you feel was, do you have a sense of what was missing between boot camp and where you would feel comfortable going into a job?
I think it was working in a team, perhaps. I also felt like I needed a better grasp of Git and GitHub. All of the things that I worked on was just solo, and only I was pushing up code. And so one of the other things that I usually recommend to people is contribute to open source. Like while you're waiting or while you're interviewing, try to do all these things that will kind of make you stand out.
Yep.
And so I think had I contributed to open source before my first job, I would have had a better understanding of like the moving parts of how a team might work and how it works to push code into a repo that other people are also pushing into.
Mm-hmm.
If you like this clip and want to watch another one, you can click right here. Or if you want to watch the full video, you can click here.